time about 3 weeks ago, was it?
Yep.
Swindon. He's the co-director of the Swindon Festival of Poetry. So over to you, Michael. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank David for throwing a firework into the middle of the room in Swindon and coming out with some quite controversial but very interesting comments about the current poetry scene. So
Thank you very much.
I've got 4 poems, 6 minutes, and I've got emptiness, death, emptiness, and I'm going to finish on a high note with near death.
You're such a charmer, aren't you?
It's got to be done.
Got to be
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. Sorry.
This first poem is called Do We Eat Angels? And it's after Lars von Trier and Robert Vaz Diaz.
Oh.
Happy day. Kirsten Dunst, the flared prom queen wedding angel on my morning lawn. Breast meat in bar-coded consumed by clouds where she hearts and dark glasses. She's not happy, but how could she be? Layered by layer by layer by opacity and the devil's gimpish toolbox of facial, hold it right there. When I look at her, I want to bite her unnatural waxed appleness. But I know she is the taste bud bore of magazines and puff, so I don't. Mila Kunis, stark airbrush naked, as ugly as the boy next door. Would I eat her perhaps? Not next door. She's as attractive as a rolling slow motion horse. Maybe in Black Swan, cherubic tutu, and the makeup Winnebago for a threesome with Kirsten, who's still there, dress sopping. She stares up at the fake made-up Venus, where maybe they don't eat substitute beauty or beauty substitutes. She won't look at me, either of her. Too busy, I think, thinking about who is going to eat her face next. Who will add the blur splice, the blush, to make a trip to Target, not an after-image eye burn of clickety-clickety memboys in anoraks, slavering for pokies or camel toe to flash chomp on. Of course, out of this real life and in the real film, we are hiding under a table as Wagner pinpoints a planet-splashing moment that takes 2 hours of Harold to arrive. We don't talk. She is a screen kiss, a distant look that goes beyond the projector, back wall, popcorn machine, sticky carpeted foyer, heavy double doors and into the mall, where she grins on the cosmetic counter, face eaten off, then reapplied by ladies in white coats and Stepford eyes. Who is more dead, the angel and her virgin suicide, or me gazing adoringly at her glorious adobiness which never goes? In a glint from the end of the world, I glimpse Kirsten's soul stuck to her real veil, not make-believe burqa, clone-stamped or eye-droppered, and I wonder what she eats to get those angelic looks. I lived in Peru for 6 years, which was very interesting. And we started a restaurant there, and my cook rang me earlier this year to say her husband had drowned in the Amazon, and she had to go from the Andes to the Amazon to find him, and this is just about that, really. Said it was cheerful. What Chazka told me. She finds him bloated 2 days into someone else. Pecky Malagrado. Cayman blink red full stops on the Cocha. Pancho is over the side beside Paichi Glide, and Quien Saves, he's gone forever. A trestle table in the middle of nowhere, the crack of a tiny thigh bone, the doll's head I found in a pig's mouth, ojos todavía brillantes, llenos de polvo. Miriam skids the bank, canasta rota. Trainers scrape stripes of mud, las garras de agua. It's not him. Out on the cocha, a coin-sized kingfisher whizzes. Nadie lo ve. No one sees it. I'm fascinated by places that have been left to rot. And this place was left to rot rather suddenly in 1986 when the nuclear reactor decided to misbehave. This poem's called Rusty Fish. We met on the Dodgems at Pripyat Park, rusted into our seats, lights off, no radioactive candy floss in the air. Under our blankets we watched the glow of sunrise at 1 in the afternoon and listened to trees grow through pavements, crows caw, Ferris wheel creaks and weather-bleached flyers flapping in chain-link fences. I said to you, abandon me at your peril. You said, this city is big enough for the two of us. And your daughter sent us a letter that said, just who is teaching who? The accelerator clicked, the steering wheel spun left, snow started, each flake the same. Through the empty roof, just like it does in Munich, when it's on the fringes of the Arctic Circle. Without electric and or gas to operate the Dodgems, and with us being rusted in, time was suspended, and we often discussed why we were there, why we weren't speaking Ukrainian, or at the very least Russian, as red flake zigzagged from the roof like fish food in a fish tank, or the disbanded Red Army metaphorically hanging in the post-disaster air around us. We were the rusty fish, sealed inside car 4 with black swollen Dodgem gums and impressive 1950s lines, possibly Cuban, compressed and squat and not out of context in a radioactive, abandoned fairground. And I'll finish off with a poem about my dad, who had a quadruple bypass operation 4 years ago. And I arrived at the hospital at 1 in the morning to find him spotlit in the middle of a ward. I didn't recognise him, I didn't know who he was. And then I heard the name of somebody on the radio about 3 weeks later, and I suddenly realised what he reminded me of. So this is My Dad, painted by Francis Bacon. Oxford Heart Centre Critical Care Unit. Someone off stage drags him by the hair. His face smudged upwards, chin tilted, fish-hooked lip, gum shield and tubes smeared left to right. Behind, digital blinks monitor oncoming strokes. I stare, eyes shut, open to a ballpoint click. The curator is at my side, dressed as a nurse, fob watch and all. You can touch him if you want to. I do. The paint is still wet. We wait all night for 3 studies of the human head to dry back into my dad. Thank you very much indeed.